Hey, we're Attention Trading, a full-service digital marketing agency that helps small and mid-sized businesses with their strategic marketing efforts. From websites, design, social media, and ads, our goal is to create marketing alignment for our clients. You may not realize it, but the majority of businesses lack a solid marketing strategy and plan. That's where we come in. On this show, we talk with business owners, founders, and marketers to uncover the secrets of their success when it comes to starting and scaling a business. This is the Attention Trading Podcast. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Attention Trading Podcast, where we talk with CEOs, owners, founders, and marketers about how they grow, scale, and operate their business. My name is Max Lowy. I'm here with my co-founder of Attention Trading, Steve Alves. Today's guest is someone who has taken the timeless spirit of surf culture and reimagined it for a new generation. Brett Portera is the founder and owner of Crest Surf Clubs, a private surf club redefining wave riding, where luxury meets progression and community meets exclusivity. This community-driven brand blends the joy of riding waves with the power of connection, lifestyle, and entrepreneurship. From building a business rooted in passion to shaping what surf culture looks like beyond the shoreline, Brett is carving his own path in and out of the water. Brett, welcome to the Attention Trading Podcast.
Hey guys, good morning. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. No, we are stoked to have you on. As a lifelong surfer, I'm excited about the conversation. I'm excited about learning more about the brand and what it's all about. And so typically we give you the floor right away, and we want to hear a little bit about you, who you are, and what you're building right now.
Sure. So my name is Brett Portera. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Crest Surf Clubs. My dad and I are the co-founders together. We've been working on this project. Probably started talking about it when I was about 12 years old. I'm 29 now, so it's been a while. But we've been officially working on it since 2015. And our original goal as lifelong surfers and entrepreneurs was to build a surf park on Long Island, selfishly, so that we could use it. And probably about 2, maybe 3 years into that initial journey, we realized that there was a much broader opportunity to, one, kind of go into the private club space and create essentially country clubs for surfing. And two, not just do that on Long Island, but do it across the country. So,
very cool. So you said you started the conversation when you were young, right? When you're like 12. Tell us a little bit how that conversation started.
Sure. So I'm the oldest of 3 boys. We're all, super competitive athletes. I played lacrosse in college, still play lacrosse now. But was multi-sport. And then in the summer I would surf, and then in the winter I would snowboard. So that probably started when I was 8 years old. My dad probably had me on a board. Again, selfishly on his side, because I think he saw the writing on the wall. If he could get the kids to surf, my mom would let him go surf a little bit more. And I definitely remember a handful of times him blaming me for wanting to go surf and telling my mom that's why we were going, which is fine. But I fell in love with it like right away. And by the time I was about 12, I was probably on like AIM Messenger, and that's when the next generation of surf parks was becoming a thing. People have been trying to build surf parks probably since like the 50s and the 60s. Technology just wasn't there yet, and they were trying to do them in places that wouldn't make sense. Like the iconic one is Big Surf, that was in Arizona. Like that, it was just way ahead of their time. They now have a surf park in Arizona that just opened about a year ago. But when they opened that, I want to say in like the 60s, it was just well ahead of its time. So around 2007, 2008, that next push was made, and it was under the Ron John Surf Shop brand name. So they were going to build 3 facilities: Orlando, San Diego, and then Randall's Island up here in New York. So, as a kid on the computer, like looking at surfing, like that started to pop up. I got excited about it. I showed it to my dad, and he was, excited about it as well, because it was something that we'd be able to use. Even though we live on Long Island, it's whatever, an hour ride to get to the city. So that kind of started turning the wheels, I think, a little bit. And then, again, technology just wasn't there yet. It was still a little bit too early. And that and probably had something to do also with, the state of the economy in 2007, 2008. Those ended up not happening. And then it kind of pivoted to my dad in the background going, we should build one of these one day on Long Island. It'd be really cool to do it. and we should run it like a private club. And his reasoning for wanting to run it like a private club was between the costs of property, cost of electric, like he just couldn't wrap his head around as an entrepreneur, like what the business case would look like if it was retail and kind of, pay per hour. So that kind of was where everything started, I would say. And then also kind of coinciding with that, the failed projects for Ron John, that next iteration of technology started to be advertised. So it wasn't built yet, but the ideas were out there. Like there were a couple companies that had their websites up that had all their kind of, I'm going to call them goals at the time because they didn't have anything to show for it. And that started to get me interested because it was like, okay, we can build a pool and it can be, 1 or 2 acres, whatever it is. And you're going to be able to make a 6 to 7 foot wave on demand. Each wave can be custom. You can have left and right hand point break. You can change the wave down the line, all this stuff. And everything just started to slowly kind of come together. But I think like the real aha moment for us was fast forwarding to 2013. I was going into my senior year of high school, and my middle brother, who's 2 years younger than me, who's a better lacrosse player than I was going down to Orlando in the middle of August to play in the U15 national championship because his club team was like number 3 in their age group or something ridiculous. Yeah. So my youngest brother's 5 years younger than me, so he was obviously going, but I was a senior in high school. I had a car. My parents have a nice house and a boat and a pool, and I clearly did not want to leave. You had to connect the dots there. But my dad was like, come on, like, we're going to go down there. We're going to rent the pool. Like, it's on my bucket list. I was like, fine, I'll go. So we went down to Orlando for them to play in the lacrosse tournament. And then we rented Typhoon Lagoon. We did it first time. It was an evening session. And then we did a morning session. And after we got out of the pool in the evening session, it was me, my dad, my lacrosse coach, his brother-in-law, and then one of my dad's friends. There were 5 of us, and we split 100 waves between the 5 of us over the course of like 3 hours. They all just kind of looked at each other and like, we need to figure out how to do this at home. Like, this was awesome. And it wasn't like it was a good wave. It was just the whole experience of, one, you're in a Disney park with absolutely nobody in there at night, which is really cool. Everything's lit up. Yeah. And then this, I'm going to say it's a perfect wave. Like I said, it's not the highest quality wave out there, but there's nothing wrong with it. It comes out, does not drop out of place. It comes out every 90 seconds, and you have your music on. It was, it was before iPhones. It was like iPod. I had my iPod. I gave it to the engineer to put on the sound system. And the 5 of us just shared the pool for like 3 hours. And it was like, okay, this whole experience is really neat. It's like, and my dad's he's traveled a bit more than I have to surf. We've primarily gone to the Caribbean. He's been to Hawaii. Like he's been up and down the West Coast a bunch. And he's like, this was the best experience I ever had, because just knowing what you're getting and being able to share that with like the people you want to share it with, that was kind of like the real light bulb moment for us.
So this is beyond entrepreneurship. This is a core memory trying to be personified here. This is an upper echelon of events. This is crazy. Yeah. Nice, yeah. Man.
Very much passion driven at the end of the day. More than anything else. I tell everybody, it's like, I want to surf the pool more than anyone does at this point. So,
okay. So you want to surf the pool. Let's talk about that a little bit. So you're in building mode right now, right? You're raising money, right? So where are we with the project?
Yeah. So there's probably a little bit more backstory that needs to go into that to fully catch up to where we are. So 2015, we decided that we were going to try to do this. And at the time, there was no market research out there. There was like, I don't even know if it was the Surf Industry Association that had something out there, but it was like way outdated. It was probably like 2005, maybe 2008 type of statistics. So it was definitely a bit old, and it wasn't very granular either. It was really kind of just overarching. So, we needed to show that there was a market here. Like, we knew it because we're local surfers and, we're plugged in from that perspective, but that doesn't get somebody to write you a check. Just saying my gut tells me, like, I know it, right? Maybe sometimes it does, but when you have to raise $40 to $50 million to build a project, it probably doesn't. And I can tell you it doesn't. So the first thing we did was we launched the website with kind of the overarching idea. And we did that in August of 2015. And we basically said internally, we're going to put the website out there, do some social media marketing, go around all the surf shops, spread the word, all that stuff. and had some idea of pricing up there, idea of what it would be, didn't know where it was going to be located on Long Island. And we said that if we had 200 people who had signed up as potential members, just literally on our email list, by January 1st, so we gave ourselves 4 months, then we'd figure out how to kind of go ahead. We had 200 people in the first month and a half, something like that. So all right, so we continued to do that part of it. Then from there, I sourced a piece of property, started to put together, all the different business plans, what I thought it would all look like. And that changed probably 100 times, literally 100 times between then and now. Because I was going through college at the time, so I was able to kind of learn stuff in the classroom and then go back and apply it and switch things around. But sourced a piece of property, won the contract on that, kind of simultaneously with that, started to hire out all of our engineering and architecture kind of contractors and third parties. So started to go through that process, got the initial site plan approval in 2018. And of course, as we got site plan approval, we had made the decision that we were going to build out our own wave technology. So what was out there on the market that had kind of given me the big eyes early on proved to not be actually achievable. Everybody was kind of chasing, as they should. They were chasing as many projects as they could. So their footprints, their technology was all geared towards a high throughput type of retail setting, which was the anti of what we were doing. We were able to buy a 3.5 acre piece of property because that's what we could afford. And in doing so, we needed a smaller footprint. And when you have a smaller footprint, you're going to have less throughput because you don't have enough time in between waves to kind of get the quality to where we wanted it to be. And after kind of going through that process in late 2017, right before we got to initial site plan approval, we decided that we were going to go down the path of building our own tech. And really just improving what was already out there. We're using a pneumatic-based system. Pneumatics has been around for over 100 years. It's been widely used in the water park space and in the surf park space now. But what was out there versus what we've designed were two kind of very different things. But that kind of changed everything, slowed things down, moved to final site plan approval finally, I think in 2020. Got building permits in 2022. In the spring of 22, we finally got building permits after initially submitting things in 17 or 18. And then from there, that's kind of when we shifted into Crest and launched Crest and all that. So where we're at today is we have a 3.5 acre site in Shirley, Long Island. So we're about halfway out on the island. We've sold just over 50% of the memberships for the New York site. We've invested a significant chunk of money to kind of get to where we are today. And now we're raising capital. So that's kind of our biggest hurdle here. We have a patent pending wave pool technology. We have more than 50% of the memberships sold. We have the site excavated. It's really about just getting capital in the door now so that we can go to vertical construction. And then kind of from there, our goal is to build out a portfolio of these clubs like a Soho House or like an Equinox. And that's something that we've started to work on already as well. So we have about 7 projects that are in our pipeline across the country. So we're actively kind of, running both paths with New York being front and center and raising capital there.
I have a technology question because you brought that up a couple of times, and not as a surfer, I want to know from your perspective, what does the perfect wave look like for you, and how do you achieve that with a specific kind of technology that other companies don't offer?
Yeah, so I think where other companies fall short more so is kind of the business models that they're catering to, that retail side of things, because it kind of puts the operator in a box of how they can use the technology. So these pneumatic-based system and even Wave Garden, who is a paddle-based system, it's modular, meaning that depending on how you sequence everything, you can change the size, the shape, the direction of the wave and all that. But when you run in a retail setting, you don't know who your customers are, and it's not safe or practical to give everybody a custom wave, basically. So with us only catering to, about 500 members instead of 300,000 to 500,000 people a year, it allows us to get granular with everybody and really unlock the technology from that perspective. But for us, I would say the key differences are around wave quality. So again, kind of tying back into the business model, I don't need to make a wave every 7 seconds. I can make a wave every 20 or 30 seconds and offer a higher quality experience with a premium wave. versus a high throughput facility where they're, it's all about butts on boards and they have to get that high throughput. But like the perfect wave, it's different for everybody, right? It's like I'll put myself in the low level to advanced kind of category. I would say, like, I can make turns. I'm trying to figure out how to get barreled, but I'm 6'3", 215 pounds. I don't typically fit in the barrel. But I'm working. I'm trying to learn that a little bit more. For me, it's a wave that I can make turns on, and then probably has an easy barrel section. And I'm primarily right now I want to go front side because I don't want to waste those waves. But when you get into a wave pool, I think it's all about progression too. So it's being able to change that wave on the fly, and then also just being able to cater to all skill levels. So there's not like one set wave that's perfect. I mean, Kelly Slater's wave, it's average price of $83,000 a day. Like, that is highly regarded as the best man-made wave in the world. And our CTO is the one who built that. And I agree that is the best man-made wave in the world, but it's not for everybody because it's a 6 to 7 foot kind of half-mile long wave, about a half-mile long wave that's breaking at 17 to 20 miles an hour. Like, you need to be a pretty advanced surfer to really kind of surf that wave well. And even then, it's still tough. Like, the pros are the ones that really surf that wave well. So I think it's just different for everybody. And to me, from a technology perspective, the perfect wave is being able to cater to everyone and being able to.
So let me double down on that question right there, because like, to me, like, as a tech guy, I'm thinking to myself, and from a user experience specialist, I'm thinking, okay, if I'm going to this shop, right, and I'm going to get to this wave, do I have some sort of app? Is there something in front of me? Do I have a courier who's like, oh, what do you want? And they have a profile about me and they know exactly, they're like, oh, Mr. Alves, do you want to do X, Y, and Z today? Or do you want this other setting? Like, is it that nuanced?
Yeah, that's how I envision it being. So we have a little bit more to work out exactly how that interface works. But part of the way our facility in New York will get built is that we end up building the pool and it'll be up and running about 6 months before we can actually open the club because of how we have to do the construction. But that 6 months allows us the ability to go through testing, but also to start to get members down there and do test sessions and actually learn who they are, what they're looking for, what their skill level is, and kind of what their goals are. We expect a lot of people to want to progress. Surf's like golf. People want to surf more and they want to be better at it. And they don't have that driving range or kind of that lessons feature or just that stable environment that every other sport does. So I think the pools will change that. So yeah, it's building that member profile one by one to start, and then kind of expanding on, your catalog of waves, and then letting them kind of pick and choose from there. Each one of our waves can be unique. That's something else that is I'm not going to say it's proprietary to us. I think other people could do it, but because of our business model, we're actually able to make it work. So you can have a beginner, an intermediate, and advanced, a professional surfer in the lineup at once, and each person can get the wave that is for them. So that's ultimately where we want to go to, where you're booking your session like a tee time essentially. And in doing so, you're kind of selecting or setting up your wave playlist, something along the lines of that.
Love that. That's a customization and really a premium offer right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds, I mean, I'm like really excited. Like, let's get this thing built.
Max wants to be a test subject is what he's asking for.
I was going to say, we need some testers. I'm not too far from you, but no, it's, one, I think the whole membership model is really interesting, and like how you're kind of modeling it off of like a luxury country club. To me, that makes a lot of sense. I would love to understand a little bit about, what is included in a membership. How are you building that out? How are you thinking about that? A lot of our clients are, in the hospitality space. And so we're constantly thinking, how do we do it again, do it better? How do we give them a really unique experience that is going to drive loyalty, that's going to get them to be, just such a fan and talk. But then also I'd be interested to understand kind of like what that average member looks like age wise, and just like the whole demographic of your current 50% sellout members.
Yeah. So we can look at that one first, and I can get into kind of what's included and what that looks like. So Right now, we're getting that early adopter crowd, right? So that means that these people have a pre-established relationship with surfing. We have I don't even know if we have anybody anymore. We might have only had one person that kind of we refunded kind of quickly after because they realized that they weren't going to be able to surf type of deal. But everybody else already has that pre-established relationship with surfing, whether they're beginner, intermediate, advanced. I think we kind of broad range there, but primarily Long Island and New York City based residents. They probably make up about 80-85% of our membership. And then outside of that, it's a mix: Westchester, Fairfield County, Jersey, Florida, California. It kind of is a broad range there. So as far as the rest of the demographic goes, they're essentially accredited investors. That's the easiest way to kind of put a bow on it. So high net worth individuals ranging from celebrities, athletes, Fortune 500 company CEOs, some of the wealthiest families in New York, and kind of outside of New York as well. Like we've attracted a really high end clientele, which aligns with what we want to do. And I think, from a branding perspective, at least, give some credit to the branding, kind of how we've thought about this, because we don't have anything to show for it yet, right? We have a hole in the ground in rendering. So the fact we've been able to convert some of these people, I think that's really encouraging to me. In terms of kind of what is included in the membership, so we'll be able to heat the pool to 70 degrees in the middle of the winter using waste heat from our own on-site energy production. So it'll be a year-round environment. You have unlimited surf sessions built in, but we're telling everybody they can surf at least twice a week, because if everybody decides to show up, which private clubs typically doesn't happen. Typically you get 30 to 40% of the people that actually show up consistently, and then the other ones are kind of more sporadic or just pay for it and like to say they're a member there, right? But planning for the worst case scenario, because I want to be able to deliver the experience we're selling people on. Everybody can surf at least twice a week, but if you want to surf more than that and you can get in, God bless you. It doesn't cost you anything else. So unlimited there. Then you have guest passes built in up to a certain number, so you can bring friends and family with you, or clients, whatever that may be. And then once you exhaust those, then it becomes a la carte, very similar to a golf club with greens fees and being able to bring guests. You have lessons built in and coaching built in as well, kind of same structure there, enough to get your toes wet. And then if you want to continue, you start to pay a la carte after that. And then we have a house gratuity credit built in too, so there's no tipping on site. So there's no minimums. Everything's built into the membership from that perspective. Food and beverage is a la carte. So if you want to eat there, you're more than welcome to. We'll have a high end offering. And then spa services will be available as well, a la carte. And then we'll have co-working space. We'll have a concierge that can handle everything from booking your session on site to making a reservation upstairs at the restaurant, to also organizing offsite travel with other members. Because I think that's what's really neat here, is that people are going to come for the wave, but that community that you're building is going to be the sticky part, I think, more than anything else. I personally don't have a ton of friends who surf. I surf more with my dad and his friends, I would say, more than my friends, actually. So being able to go somewhere and kind of build those relationships, like, to me, that's really attractive. And I think it will be to others as well. And then you can start to leverage that, like through offsite travel and different private events and things of that nature. And I think it all just starts to compound and evolve on itself. The approach we've taken is that surf makes money. Like, especially in this private club setting, surf will make money. It's not a loss leader. Like a lot of these other projects are building out, $200 million facilities that have surf, and they have tennis, and they have a pump track and a hotel and all this other stuff around it. Like for us, surf makes money. So we want to start there, keep it simple, get it done for as cheaply as we can, deliver the experience we've sold everybody on, and then kind of add around that. So whether that's camp by events, from a food and beverage or a professional surfer or whatever it may be type of perspective, adding other amenities around within the facility that might fit. So maybe looking at racket sports or additional kind of spa service space, childcare potentially, like a lap pool, more of kind of like a beach area type of thing. That's kind of how we've thought about it, is, okay, what's like the bare minimum that we can sell this and prove that it works? And then we'll kind of cherry pick the things we want to do after that, that builds that loyalty, to your point. Like I said, I think that the wave is going to be enough to get people in the door and stay there for the first 18 to 24 months. And then from there, it's just kind of cherry picking the things that the members are looking for, not necessarily what I think. I think it creates that trust wheel a little bit more, because you're asking them what they want, and you're getting their feedback. So now they feel involved, and you're also not wasting money on amenities that nobody's going to use. So
yeah, that's cool. Well, so I'd be interested to know. I know you said you launched the site back in August of 2015. So it's been some time since you put this out there to the world, right?
Yep.
As far as marketing goes, obviously you're doing something right because one, you sold half your membership already, which is phenomenal. Two, I'm pretty sure I don't know, we connected on LinkedIn, I want to say a year or 2 years ago, and I've just kind of been following along and watching, and just figured now's the time I want to learn a little bit more. But like, what are you doing for marketing? What is it, more traditional? Is it more in person? Are you doing any partnerships, collaborations with other brands? Like what does it look like for you? And that has been successful so far.
We've done probably 95% digital at this point. And we've tried a whole bunch of different stuff. We've tried Surfline, we've tried Google, Meta, a couple other like surf specific sites. We've tried to do some local partnerships, but the partnership stuff is more, I think, geared towards our current members and existing members, to just give them, benefits for being members more than anything else. There's not a lot of marketing opportunity that necessarily comes out of that, I would say. But honestly, Meta has been just hands down insane for us. We've generated probably roughly 15,000 leads since March of 23, when we turned on our advertising for Crest. Our average blended cost per lead across everything I just named, which has primarily been Meta, is about $15. And we're converting a lead to a sale at roughly 2%. We needed to be at like 1.2, 1.3% to be sold out. So we're over 50% higher there. But yeah, it's crazy how many people we're getting through Facebook and Instagram ads, and like of the caliber of our members too. Like that's what's mind boggling to me, when one of these, Fortune 500 company CEOs fills out, a form from a Facebook lead at 2:00 in the morning. Like it's just it's such a disconnect there for me. Like that's just so crazy that's where we're getting it from. Because we've tried Dan's Papers, which is like the high end kind of print media that goes all over New York City and into the Hamptons and stuff like that. We didn't get a great kind of response there. Granted, we only tried it once, but per dollar, Meta has just been hands down the best for us. And we spent a lot of time refining that, but yeah.
It's interesting, because I think a lot of people think that when you have a high class offer, you're like, I need to find the high class areas in which people are, right? And sometimes you got to remember, people are still people.
Right.
Even if they're CEOs of Fortune 500 companies that make billions of dollars a year, they're still on TikTok. They still scroll Instagram. Like, it's weird to say, but like, they're still people, right? Or like, even like their kids. Like, I'm sure you, as your father's son, right? You scroll those channels, right? You could as easily have gone and seen that and go, hey, Dad, like, look how cool this is, right? And like, it's not always a decision maker you're trying to get attention of. Sometimes the decision maker is really the kids, right? Who are telling their parents who are more affluent to like, hey, like, this seems cool. Like, we should do this thing, right?
Yep. No, I definitely agree with that. And that's probably a good chunk of where the leads do come from. You're probably right there. And then also about 25% of our members have come from referrals of primarily current members. We had a few people that didn't buy that referred people who did buy, which I scratched my head a little bit, but, but yeah. So, from that perspective, like a marketing perspective, it's been, it's nice because you can kind of set it up on autopilot once you have everything kind of worked out, and it just continues to kind of churn out leads depending on how many dollars we throw behind it, which has been, that's been encouraging. I think for us, we've just kind of scratched the surface too, because a lot of people that have inquired that can afford to be members, they're just waiting for a little bit more, because to your point, we've been in the marketplace since 2015. We've now been selling memberships since late 2022. There's just like, okay, is this happening? It's that type of thing, right? That credibility side, which is tough to fight, especially when you can't afford to put concrete in the ground. But, I can rest assured that we've put every dollar and, every hour we can into getting this done. But, some people are still just going to wait. They don't care if the price goes up. That's probably the biggest hurdle from a marketing perspective, is creating that artificial sense of urgency, for this.
Yeah, I was going to ask that because we've been, we've done some work with, some startups where, we're building out these wait lists, right? And we're getting 20,000 people on a wait list and people are super excited. It's how do you continue to keep them engaged as you're building this out? Because yes, this is a big project and it's a physical project, right? It's not like it's an app where, again, apps take time to still engineer and create, but this is manpower, right? You have to actually build it and test it and get it right. And so you still have, a runway here. So it's always interesting to me is like, how do you continue to create that engagement? How do you continue to create that excitement for the people that are your loyal customers so far? Because they're the ones that do believe in it. They're early adopters. But they haven't experienced it yet. So like, what kind of experience are you able to provide them and continue to provide them until they can actually like taste it,
Yeah, that's the most challenging thing for us. It's like, because me personally, I have trouble asking other brands to do things for us, like from a partnership perspective, just because it's like, hey, I'm a new brand. I'm trying to get this done. It all depends on me getting capital, but like, it would be great if you can do something for our members. And that to me, like, that's just kind of a tough conversation to have. And sometimes it's not. Like we have some partnerships. We have some new ones that we're in the process of rolling out right now. But it's just kind of being selective around that and making sure things align. Part of what we'll do once we have capital and we're pouring concrete will be to start to activate that membership with kind of in-person events. And that'll, be a range of different things that happen on site with construction updates, kind of off-site type of mixers and things of that nature. That's all coming. Right now, it's just, I think, being transparent and trying to let all of our members know what's going on. And then, from a outside the membership perspective, it's kind of one of those things where I can only show the hole in the ground so many times, right? Like that's kind of been exhausted. So we had we revealed our tech, which we were kind of half and half on doing, but we decided that we needed to do it over the summer. So we started to do that. We got a good boost from that, kind of updated everything around there and revealed who our engineer was and kind of what the wave was going to look like and all that. So that started to get people excited again. We had a lot of people re-inquire. Some people who had previously inquired and didn't buy bought. But I think it's just kind of right now, it's just maintaining that buzz as best as possible, which is really tough. Just because these projects do have such a long lead time. And like, we're not the only ones in the space that are trying to raise capital right now. Every project that's going on is in the same boat as us, essentially. So it's, that's easy to point to. It's not like, okay, every other project's getting built and ours isn't, which I think helps a little bit from that perspective. But yeah, I think once we get into construction, that changes because there's a lot more buzz and excitement. Okay, this is actually concrete's in the ground. Like they're visibly making progress and like, you're just getting closer and closer to first waves. And if there are still memberships left once first waves come, I'm so confident in what we've built that they'll be gone, pretty much instantly. So maybe I'm wrong, but just based on, my engineer's pedigree and kind of what I see going on, like that wave is going to speak volumes for itself. So
What does that, and this might be proprietary information, what does launch date look like? Like, are we talking about 26, 7?
So right now it's all dependent on getting capital in the door.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't have the ability to fund. Basically we need 25 million to build the pool. It's 45 million total build out. So that's, outside our wheelhouse. But pending everything going well, which it seems to be tracking that way, we should have first waves by this time next year, roughly. And then from there, it's just about kind of building out the clubhouse and getting finished and up and running. So, but really, we expect to have first waves probably within the next year or so. And that's kind of the key piece for us at the end of the day. That unlocks a lot of progress in New York, which hopefully will lead to sold out there, but it also unlocks our pipeline for us because everything is really just contingent on us showing that the wave works at full scale. And
once you get one, that's all it's going to take. Like, you just need that day one, because then once someone gets that experience, the thing's going to explode. Everybody who has the money is going to want to do this thing.
Yep, exactly. And like, Kelly Slater Waveco is the perfect example of that. Like that dreary day in December of 2015, when they showed one wave, Kelly surfing that chocolate barrel, it just completely changed everything. It was like, oh my God, this is here. And like, how do I get this? And, we need to do this as quickly as possible. I mean, it showed. The World Surf League came in and bought Kelly Slater Wave Co. within like 3 months of that happening. And they paid an obscene amount of money for it when it happened too. So, it's already happened. So I very much believe that we'll be able to kind of recreate something similar to that.
That's awesome. No, I mean, it's, again, this is a super exciting project. I've been following it for a while. I'd love to turn one of our last questions over to Steve. He likes to ask all, and I feel like I know the answer to this one too. I feel like our last guest, I knew the answer and it was a no. But this one, I feel like I know the answer here. Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean it's funny because you literally led off answering this question, and it's funny that you kind of did that without knowing. For me personally, right, every success I've ever had in life has come off other people's experiences. So like I've always asked people like, "Hey, I see you're doing this. How did you get here?" Right? But the question I always start with was, do you think 12-year-old Brett would be doing what today's Brett's doing? So like the answer is obviously yes, but did you think it was to this caliber? Do you think you guys would be sitting on the precipice of something really big and being able to build something within the next 12 months, like something like this at age 12?
If you ask my dad, the answer would be no, because he never would have gotten involved if he knew what he had signed himself for. But yeah, I don't know if I ever had aspirations for what we're doing. I mean, I've become an engineer by fire on the surf tech side of things. Like I'm building out financial models. I'm pitching people to raise capital. I'm helping manage construction, like just kind of that broad range of everything I'm doing. I don't think that was ever where my head was at. And even when I was 12 years old, like this was an idea that I thought was cool, but I think more from the user side of things than anything else. Like I didn't have the aspirations to be an entrepreneur then. I think I was more, I was a kid that loved Legos. So like, architecture and engineering was interesting to me probably until I was about, 15 or 16. And then I realized you had to be really, really good at math to be an engineer. And I was like,
math is hard.
That was kind of like turning me off there. And then, by the time I was finishing high school, then I was like, okay, maybe the entrepreneur thing's a little bit more for me. And then when we went to Typhoon Lagoon, then it was like, all right, this is the path that I want to go. And then I went to Bentley originally, which is like all business. So it just kind of all started to feed into itself from there. So yeah, I don't know if 12-year-old me was thinking like this or ever imagined that we could potentially be here. But I think my parents set me up every step of the way to get me to here, essentially.
Love it. And there's just one really quick follow-up question before Max wraps this up. As entrepreneurs, Max and I have been doing this for almost 15, 20 years, like we always ask ourselves this question. And for you, are you having fun? Because ultimately that's what this really matters, right? Like making money is great, but like if you're miserable making money, it's not worth it. So like, are you having fun?
Well, I'm not making any money yet, so I better be having fun. Yeah, I mean, some days are better than others, of course, right? Like, trying to raise money and trying to sell yourself over and over and over again, that's draining. And it's nice when those conversations go well and when they don't go well. And there's I'm going to call it, BS reason on the other side of the phone that it's like, okay, well, I can very quickly debunk that. Like, you're just trying to get out of this. Just say it, right? Like, that sucks. But yeah, I mean, like, I really enjoy building stuff still, even though I, am not a craftsman or anything or an engineer by trade or anything, but like working on the wave tech, like that's always fun, I would say, more so than anything else. So I really enjoy that, being able to build this has been fun, doing it with my dad and my cousin, who's our sales director, like that part, we have a really good team. We're all really close at this point, yeah, I enjoy that more than probably putting a suit on and trekking to Manhattan every single day. I think this is the lifestyle that's for me. I would say it's more fun than not. Yeah. So, and like I said, it's really what gets me through the day right now is just the carrot of I'm going to be able to surf the waves soon. And like, just it's there, like, right. And like, that's really what my ultimate goal is that I want to build this awesome wave. I want to be able to replicate this, and I want to be able to go there whenever I want. That's what gets me through the day more than anything else, I would say.
That's awesome, man.
All right, Brett, where can people find you? Where do you want them to search? Can they invest? This is your time to plug it.
Yeah. So we are raising capital. There's a couple different scenarios out there. We do need accredited investors only on that front. So people can reach out to me directly and can kind of go through all that. You can find me on LinkedIn. I believe it's Brett Portera. There might be an MBA at the end there. I should come up. I'm pretty active. Always trying to plug Crest and create as much buzz around us as possible. And then if you're just kind of more broadly interested in the concept, or potentially as a member, you can go to crestsurfclubs.com. There's a little bit of information on there, and there's a registration form, and our sales team can get in touch with you if you fill that out.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate your time. Like I said before, you let me know when you need some testing done, and I will head up your way. But no, really appreciate it. Love the conversation, and we hope everyone enjoyed this episode of the Attn Trdg Podcast. Thanks so much. That's a wrap for this episode of the Attn Trdg Podcast, where we break down what's working in marketing so you can capture, convert, and keep attention. If you got something valuable today, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. For more insights and strategies, check us out at attntrdg.com.